Hi, everyone. I hope you are doing well and enjoyed your Tuesday off and that you went to vote. I am recording this video because we have the next week off and then not going to see you in person for a while. So I wanted to record a video to explain your final project to you. After I record this, I am going to publish everything in the Canvas course and you will have access to it so that you can go in and look at everything that I am showing you. So once I do hit publish, you'll find a module at the very bottom of the modules page titled Final Project Submissions. Inside that module, you will find a full set of directions and then 5 separate places where you will upload different portions of the project. So I'm going to click on the full directions piece so that I can explain it to you. What you are being asked to do is pretend that you've been hired to design a 30-minute session that will be given at, or the presentation will be given at new student orientation for incoming freshmen and their parents. So your audience is incoming freshmen and their parents with them. The title of this session that you're designing is called Why Take FYS 1010. And really your job is to convince students to register for the class by explaining the value of the content and the importance of learning that and integrating it in their first semester of college. So you're going to highlight some of the important content that we've talked about, and really talk about the why of that content. Being able to use specific examples from things that we've done in class together, talking about ways that maybe you've adjusted some of the concepts so that they work for you, so on and so forth. Okay, so saying okay like you're here and you're not. And here we go. So there are 4 different pieces of the assignment that you will need to submit. The first piece is a presentation brief. And the presentation brief should be like some kind of word processing document where you are including an outline of the timeline indicating how you will use the 30 minutes for your presentation. And it should be, detailed enough where I know that like minutes 1 and 2, you plan on introducing yourself and giving an overview of what the session is about. And then maybe minutes 3 and 4, you plan on giving them a rundown of what to expect for the 30 minutes. And then minute 5, you jump into the first thing that you're going to do. Maybe it's show a video, maybe it's do an interactive activity, maybe it's go through a PowerPoint of pieces of information that you want to share with that group. But your presentation brief is just going to be a 1-page document. Maybe it runs over a page depending on how detailed you get, but that kind of shows what the overview of the 30 minutes is going to look like. Okay. The second required piece of the project is a visual aid. So you're going to use this in part of the 30-minute presentation. And it could be a PowerPoint deck. It could be an infographic. If you come up with some other kind of great way to use a visual aid in part of your presentation, you can do that, right? What you need to make sure that you include in this portion of the project is at least one example from each of the module groupings listed here. So modules 1 through 5 really targeted the study and exam strategy preparation, study and exam strategy strategies that we talked about, preparing for class, being active in class, taking time after class to really review and make sure that there are no gaps in our understanding, creating tools for short, frequent reviews, coming up with exam plans that allowed us to like spread the content that we needed to know over time, and scheduled us to look at the content that we felt the least confident in first so that we could see it multiple days in a row, right? The second set of modules that we covered was really focused on wellness and belonging. So understanding our place on campus and why having that social belonging component is so important to our health in all areas, right? And then we talked about the 8 dimensions of wellness, okay? So again, within the visual aid, you need to provide at least one example from the study exam strategies modules and then the wellness and belonging modules, explaining the importance of the concept that you're bringing up and the why in your presentation. Like if you choose to talk about the study cycle, there has to be evidence in that you understand what the study cycle is and why you're including that recommendation or talking about that particular concept in your visual aid, supported by, your understanding, your knowing of the science behind why it works, why our memory works, right? What you've done to use that particular tool, been successful with. Okay. Third part is a 30 to 45-second video. You can use this video any portion of the 30-minute presentation. Maybe you use it as an overview and you pretend to be a student in it who's taken FYS and you talk about all the great things you've learned. Maybe you do an interview with someone who took FYS 3 years ago and can refer back to some of the things that they learned in FYS and what they've been able to do with that and why they're successful because of taking that class, right? So the video can go wherever you want. One of the things that I'll show you in just a minute is that the video must be uploaded using Flip in the Canvas course. And so you're not going to be able to upload it, record it on your phone and upload it into Canvas. It has to be done through Flip because it makes it way easier for me to grade and access, okay? And then the fourth thing is an interactive activity. So you are gonna design an exercise for the people that are sitting in that room that will highlight the need or the effectiveness of one of the things that we've talked about in class, okay? So, think to maybe you do something about like, memory retention and thinking back to that activity we did where I added the context of the title above the passage that about washing laundry and how much easier it was. So maybe you're doing something along those lines. Maybe you're doing something with social belonging. Maybe you're doing something with the 8 dimensions of wellness. But there needs to be an interactive activity with an overview, set of directions, an explanation about why you chose that activity, and then any kind of handouts that you might need. So if you're going to give them a handout to write on, what does that look like? There is a fifth, you'll see when I show you the module, a fifth place where overall points are going to be recorded. And this is where I'm going to assess your creativity, make sure that you've done a good job editing and proofing the work that you're turning in, and really look at the feasibility of what you're presenting. Is the brief with where the video and the visual aid are used and the interactive activity. Is that something that I could literally turn around and hand to my friend Zach, who happens to be the orientation coordinator, and say, hey, look at what one of my students designed. I think that you should do this at orientation next year. So putting some thought into it, if I were you, I would start with the overall 30 minutes. What do you want that 30 minutes to look like? What are the concepts that you feel like you really need to highlight? And then from there, make some decisions about which concept you're going to use in the video, which concept you're going to highlight in the PowerPoint or the visual aid, which concepts you want to like really reinforce in the interactive activity. That's how I would do that. So these directions are in there. I need to move this video. Okay. Next. So here is where you'll see 5 different assignments, 1 assignment for each part, and then the 5th assignment is for the overall points that I'm assigning you. So here are, again, the same directions that I just showed you from that sheet for the presentation brief. I did create a sample presentation brief just so you could kind of see how I might do it. So right here, I have like 0 to 5 minutes. I'm going to cover introductions. I'm also going to share the overview of the session and the goals of what I hope to accomplish with the group. I've made a note for myself because I want to ask them some questions as a way to kind of warm up the crowd. And I'm going to do that through some kind of polling software in their cell phones, right? Then I scroll down and between the 5 and 8 minute mark, I'm going to introduce, watch the video, and then do like a wrap up or a debriefing on the video. Then from 8 to 15 minutes, I'm going to transition to my visual aid and I'm going to go through my visual aid. Notice that time period right there from 8 to 15 minutes is longer, right? So I'm giving myself time to talk through the visual aid that I've created. Then from 18 to 25 minutes, I'm going to move into the activity. So I'll transition to the activity. I will give the instructions on how to do it. I'll walk around and encourage people, give warnings, and then I'm going to debrief from 25 to 28 minutes. And then from 28 to 30 minutes, I'm going to kind of wrap it up and summarize things. So just an example that this is bare bones. I would expect more kind of detail in your presentation brief, but I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what that might look like, okay? So you'll upload that here. I've got a rubric that you should certainly take a look at so you know what I'm looking for in that brief right attached to it. Next up, we have the visual aid. So again, these directions are pulled right from that Microsoft Word document that's uploaded in your Canvas course. And this is, again, where you will upload this document. Rubric is here so that you can see, look, I'm giving you specific points for example 1, specific points for example 2. So make sure you're taking a look at that rubric to know how to earn those points. This is the part 3, the video, and see the grading rubric isn't actually in the same spot that it is in the other 2 assignments because you are actually going to load the final project in Flip. So you will click on that and then you will, I believe, start on camera and start the recording so that you can allow that to happen. So you would have to be prepared to do it. And then, oh no, I just closed Canvas. Give me just a second, guys. I'm sorry. Part 4 is the interactive activity. So what you would be creating here is a word processing document that talks about what the activity is, what the directions are, what the why is behind it, and then include, a copy of the handout, or maybe you're making flashcards, maybe you need playing cards, whatever it is, but you would upload what that is here. And then when I click next, the 5th thing you'll see in there is overall impression. This is not anything that you need to upload. This is where I'm going to assign your points for creativity, for editing, for proofing, for feasibility. Okay. So that is your final project. There may be questions. I will definitely make some time to answer those. So pay attention to the directions about when I might have drop-in office hours to answer questions about your final projects are. I can certainly answer them in person the week before it's due, but I'm trying to get this to you early enough so that you have some time to think through this and work on creating a quality submission. All right, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon.